Okay, in this chapter I want to talk about using video effects with Final Cut Pro 5. What I want to do, actually right here where Brock Mellows gets knocked out, let's go back and take a look at this real quick.
Must have been a lead pipe because I got hit.
Okay, you can see the whiteout, but I actually want his vision to appear blurry. We need to add a blur to this shot, and I also want to animate the blur. If we click on the Effects tab, what I want to do is come over here and click on Video Filters, and then the first folder that says Blur, let's collapse that folder, and let's take a closer look. You can see that we have a Gaussian blur and a radial blur, a wind blur, and a zoom blur. Notice that all of those filters are in bold, indicating that it is a real-time effect. I want to use the Gaussian blur. I'm going to click and hold down on the Gaussian blur, and I'm going to drag and drop it onto the media file in the timeline. I'm going to double click on it to load it inside of the viewer. Now what I want to do is click on the Filters tab. Okay, here's the Gaussian blur. I'm just going to grab the radius and crank it up and watch over here in the canvas window. Okay, you can see the blur. Now we can animate this blur using keyframes. What I want to do is move my playhead back towards the beginning of the clip, and then I want to click on the Filters tab, and let's dock it down here onto the timeline so that we can see what's going on. Let's zoom in and take a closer look. This line right here indicates the beginning of the media file, and this line indicates the end of the media file. Let's take our playhead, and we're actually going to click right here just before the clip starts, and let's type in a value of about 50 and press return, and let's add our first keyframe for our blur. Let's go ahead and zoom out. Now let's scrub into the file. Let's grab the playhead. Notice how we have a timeline inside of the effect window so we can see the blur. Okay, there's the blur. Let's actually move the playhead towards the end of the clip, and then let's click on the keyframe diamond to add another keyframe. Now I'm just going to take the slider and move it all the way down to bring the shot back into focus. Notice the animated line for our filter. If I right click on the keyframe, I can choose smooth and actually get handles so I can make a Bezier curve. And I can do the same thing on the end of the shot, smooth. And we can actually ramp our blur. Let's back it up and let's just play it inside the timeline inside the filter tab.
Been a lead pipe because I got hit and I was knocked out cold.
Okay, if we want the blur to last longer, let's just grab the second keyframe and we'll stretch it out. Let's play it again.
Been a lead pipe because I got hit and I was knocked out cold.
Okay, great. That is exactly what we wanted. Let's go ahead and grab the Filters tab and redock it onto the viewer. Okay, great. Let's click on the Video tab, and we can also scrub inside the viewer and take a look at our effect. Okay, looks great. Okay, now that we have our effect, let's use what's called the frame view to notice the difference between our effect and the original image. Let's click on Window. Let's go to Arrange, and I want to choose actually Color Correction again. I want to click inside the timeline and press Shift and Z. Let's click on our media file that has the blur filter. Let's click on our frame viewer so that you can see the before and after. Okay, so that's how the frame viewer is useful. Now we can apply multiple effects to this clip. If we double click on the clip to load it back inside the viewer, our viewer is now over here on the far left. Let's click on the Filters tab, and you can see that we have the Gaussian blur. We can actually add multiple filters onto a video clip. Let's go back and click on our Filters folder, and let's scroll down and let's go to Image Control, and I'm going to choose Desaturate and drag and drop that on there. There's our desaturate filter. You can see that I instantly made it black and white, and we can animate our desaturate. Notice we can come from black and white to color or vice versa. If we want to get rid of a filter, it's very simple. We'll just click on the filter and press delete. Okay, it's gone. Let's scroll down. Notice there's sepia. Okay, so if you want to use the cliche sepia tone, notice you can even adjust the tint color if we click on it. We can adjust that tint color. If we want it to be greenish, we'll click OK. We can tint the video green, and of course we can animate all that with keyframes. Let's click on sepia tone to delete that. Alright, that concludes this quick chapter on using effects with Final Cut Pro 5. Okay, we've been talking about